Hi, I'm Deliza. 27 years ago, my parents dropped me off at Memorial Hospital for what the doctors called a high-risk procedure to remove a tumor wrapped around my spine. I was 16 and terrified. Now I know why no one was there when I woke up. Miss Deliza, you have a visitor. Nurse Kathy poked her head into my hospital room, where I'd been recovering for 2 weeks since the surgery. I tried to sit up, wincing. My parents finally showed up? No, honey, it's Maya Garcia. She was your surgical nurse years ago. Says she needs to talk to you about something important. A woman in her 50s with silver-streaked black hair stepped hesitantly into my room. You probably don't remember me, but I assisted during your surgery when you were 16. I was pretty out of it, I admitted, studying her face. But your voice sounds familiar. Maya twisted her hands together. I've been debating whether to tell you this for 11 years. I'm retiring next month, and I can't take this secret with me. What secret? I felt a chill despite the room's warmth. The day of your surgery, your parents dropped you off at reception. When Dr. Bennett told them it would be at least 8 hours, they said they had a charity gala that evening. They told me they waited the whole time, I said, my voice suddenly small. Maya's face hardened. No, they didn't wait at all, but that's not the worst part. She took a deep breath. When I asked for a contact number, your mother said, and I'll never forget this, don't bother us if she doesn't make it. Just call if she survives. The room seemed to tilt. That can't be right. I'm so sorry, Deliza. I documented it in your chart. Reported it to my supervisor, but nothing came of it. Your parents made substantial donations to the hospital. I think it got buried. Where were they when I woke up? I was alone for 3 days. At their ski cabin in Aspen. They didn't return my calls until day 4. I gripped the sheets. Why tell me this now? Because I saw your parents on TV last week accepting that Parents of the Year award from the Children's Foundation. Your mother talked about supporting you through cancer as a teenager. It made me sick. 11 years of speaking engagements about their brave daughter and the family's cancer journey, I whispered. They've built their social standing on this lie. Maya reached into her bag and pulled out a thumb drive. I kept copies of everything. The chart notes, my incident report, the phone logs. I shouldn't have, but I always felt someone needed to know. Does anyone else remember? Dr. Bennett? But he retired to Florida years ago. And Vivian, the anesthesiology nurse, she was furious about it. I took the thumb drive, my hand trembling slightly. Thank you for telling me, for being there when they weren't. What will you do? I looked out the window at the sprawling city below. I need to make some calls. They don't deserve to get away with this, Maya said, heading toward the door. Especially not while profiting from it. They won't, I promised. Not anymore. After Maya left, I called the one person I knew would help me navigate this. My father's sister, Aunt Teresa. They did what? Teresa's voice crackled through the phone. Deliza, are you absolutely certain? The nurse had documentation. She gave me copies. Those self-righteous, pretentious... Teresa cut herself off. I always knew they were cold, but this? This explains why they wouldn't let me see you until you were almost recovered. I need a lawyer, someone who specializes in fraud cases. I know just the person, Teresa replied. Marlene Soto. She'll eat them alive. Walk me through your parents' charity work again, Marlene said, spreading documents across her mahogany desk, her crimson reading glasses perched on the end of her nose as she scanned the papers. They founded the Valencia Family Cancer Support Initiative after my recovery, I explained. They've raised over $10 million in the past decade. They get speaking fees of $15,000 per appearance to tell their heart-wrenching story of staying by my side. Teresa snorted from the chair beside me. Meanwhile, they were sipping champagne at the Mitchell's gala. And you have proof they weren't at the hospital? Marlene asked. I slid Maya's thumb drive across the desk. Nurses' notes, hospital records, and phone logs showing they didn't call until days later. Plus, there's this. I pulled out my phone and showed her my recent text exchange with Dr. Bennett. I remember that day clearly, Marlene read aloud. Your parents left immediately after drop-off. I had to assign a social worker to sit with you when you woke up because they wouldn't answer our calls. This is damning, Delisa. There's more, I said. They've claimed over $200,000 in tax deductions for unreimbursed medical expenses related to my care. But I went through my grandmother's papers after she died last year. She paid for everything through a trust. Marlene's eyebrows shot up. So we're looking at tax fraud, charity fraud, and potentially child endangerment, though the statute of limitations has likely expired on that last one. Don't forget defamation, Teresa added. They've been telling these lies about Delisa's experience for years. What about Vivian, the other nurse Maya mentioned? Marlene asked. I tracked her down, I said. She's eager to talk. Says she's been waiting for this day. Let's invite her to join us, Marlene suggested, reaching for the phone. 20 minutes later, Vivian Russell bustled into the office, still wearing scrubs from her shift. Sorry I'm late, she said, dropping into a chair. Trauma case came in right as I was leaving. Thank you for coming, I said. Maya mentioned you were there that day. Oh, I was there all right. Vivian's eyes flashed. Your father looked at his watch while you were being prepped. Your mother was on the phone arguing with a caterer. When Dr. Bennett explained the risks, she just said, We really need to go. We have people expecting us. Did you document any of this? Marlene asked. Every word. Vivian pulled a leather-bound journal from her bag. I've kept detailed notes on every case for 30 years. This one particularly disturbed me. Why didn't you report it? Teresa demanded. I did, Vivian said firmly. So did Maya and Dr. Bennett. The hospital administration buried it after your parents donated a new wing the following year. Money talks, Marlene muttered, making notes. What's our next step? I asked. We gather more evidence, build an airtight case, Marlene replied. Then we approach the IRS, the Attorney General's office, and the Charity Oversight Board simultaneously. What about my parents? I asked. When do they find out? Marlene's smile was thin and sharp. When it's too late for them to cover their tracks. They're speaking at the National Cancer Survivors Gala next month, Teresa said. It's their biggest platform of the year. Perfect timing, Marlene said. Let's make sure the truth comes out before they can tell any more lies. The ballroom of the Grand Monarch Hotel glittered with chandeliers and camera flashes. My parents stood at the podium, my mother's diamond earrings catching the light as she dabbed at invisible tears. Those nights by Delisa's hospital bed taught us the meaning of resilience, she was saying, her voice catching for effect. Holding her hand through those dark hours? Excuse me, I called out, stepping forward from the side entrance. The microphone in my hand broadcast my voice across the suddenly silent room. I'd like to fact-check that statement. The blood drained from my father's face. My mother's smile froze in place. Delisa! She exclaimed with forced brightness. What a surprise! Everyone, our brave daughter has joined us. I walked steadily toward the stage, aware of the cameras following me, exactly as Marlene had planned. I have a question, I said, addressing the crowd rather than my parents. How many of you have donated to the Valencia Family Cancer Support Initiative based on my parents' story of staying by my side during my cancer treatment? Hundreds of hands went up throughout the audience. That's what I thought. I turned to face my parents directly. Would you like to tell them the truth? Or should I? My father stepped forward, attempting to guide me away from the microphone. Sweetheart, this isn't the place. It's exactly the place, I replied, stepping away from his reach. You've been telling these lies here for years. Delisa is confused, my mother said smoothly into her microphone. The trauma of cancer can affect memory. My memory is just fine, I interrupted. But since you mention it, I do have some help remembering what actually happened. On cue, Maya and Vivian stepped forward from the side of the room. These are the nurses who were actually there with me, I explained. Unlike you. My father lunged for my microphone, but I sidestepped him. Tell them what you told the surgical nurse when you dropped me off, I challenged, staring directly into my mother's eyes. I don't know what you're talking about, she hissed, her perfect veneer cracking. "Don't bother us if she doesn't make it. Just call if she survives," I quoted. "Those were your exact words before you left for a gala." Gasps rippled through the audience. My mother recovered quickly, forcing a laugh. "This is ridiculous! We never left your side." "Then how do you explain the hospital records?" I asked as Marlene stepped forward, distributing packets to reporters in the front row. "Or the statements from the medical team? Or the society page photos showing you at the Mitchell's gala the night of my surgery?" My father grabbed my arm roughly. "That's enough," he snarled, his public persona evaporating. "Sir, I wouldn't do that," called a voice from the crowd. Detective Santiago stepped forward, badge in hand. "Especially not with assault charges pending." "Assault charges?" My mother spluttered. "This is absurd." "No, what's absurd is building a charitable empire on abandoned child," I said clearly. "What's absurd is claiming tax deductions for medical expenses my grandmother's trust paid for. What's absurd is accepting Parents of the Year when you told medical staff not to bother you if I died." The crowd had erupted into chaos, reporters shouting questions, cameras flashing. "You ungrateful little—" My mother stepped toward me, hand raised, but Detective Santiago moved between us. "Mrs. Valencia, please step back," she warned. "You're already in enough trouble." "You have no idea who you're dealing with," my father threatened, pulling out his phone. "I'm calling our attorney." "Go ahead," Marlene said, stepping forward. "But you should know that the Attorney General, the IRS, and the Charity Oversight Committee have all received our evidence packets this morning." My mother's face contorted with rage. "After everything we've done for you—" "You did nothing for me," I said quietly. "That's the point." "The jury will render its verdict when court resumes tomorrow morning," Teresa said, sliding into the booth across from me at the diner. "How are you holding up?" I stirred my coffee absently. "Better than I expected. Testifying was actually liberating." "You were magnificent," Marlene said, joining us. "When you described waking up alone after surgery, I saw 3 jurors wipe away tears." "Did you see my parents' faces?" I asked. "Like they'd swallowed lemons," Teresa snorted. Their lawyer looked ready to jump ship. Maya slipped into the seat beside me. "I just got off shift. Any news?" "Verdict tomorrow," I explained, "but the damage to their reputation is already done." "The Children's Foundation rescinded their award," Marlene added. "And 6 organizations have canceled your parents' speaking engagements." "Good," Vivian said, pulling up a chair at the end of the table. "Though no punishment seems enough for what they did." "It wasn't just about the punishment," I said. "It was about the truth." The diner bell jingled, and we all looked up as my father walked in alone. He spotted us and approached slowly, his usually impeccable appearance disheveled. "Deleza," he began, his voice hoarse. "Can we talk privately?" "Anything you have to say, you can say in front of my real family," I replied, gesturing to the women around me. He shifted uncomfortably. "Your mother and I, we made a terrible mistake." "A mistake is forgetting to pick someone up from the airport," I replied coldly. "What you did was abandonment." "We panicked. We weren't ready to face losing you." "So you decided to lose me on your own terms?" I asked. "Save yourself the inconvenience of grief?" "It wasn't like that," he pleaded. "We've regretted it every day since. We tried to make up for it by helping other families." "By lying about your own experience," Marlene interjected. "By fraudulently collecting donations and tax breaks." "Please," my father's voice broke. "We're facing jail time. Your mother is devastated. Can't you find it in your heart to forgive us? To speak to the judge on our behalf?" For a moment, I remembered being 6 years old, begging for his attention while he checked his email. 9 years old, performing in a school play to an empty seat. 16, waking up in terror, calling for parents who weren't there. "No," I said simply. "I can't." "We're your parents," he insisted, desperation creeping into his voice. "Biology doesn't make you parents," I replied. "Being there does. These women have shown me more care in the past few months than you did in 18 years. "What do you want from us?" he demanded. anger replacing his contrition. Justice, I answered. Not revenge. Just justice. This will destroy us. You should have thought of that before you built a life on lies, Teresa said sharply. Now I suggest you leave before we call the manager. He turned and stormed out, the bell jangling violently behind him. Are you okay? Maya asked gently. I took a deep breath and realized something surprising. Yes, I actually am. The next morning, we sat in the crowded courtroom as the jury foreman stood. On the count of charity fraud, we find the defendants guilty. On the count of tax fraud, we find the defendants guilty. On the count of false statements to a federal agency, we find the defendants guilty. My mother collapsed against my father, who stared straight ahead, his jaw tight. The judge's sentence came swiftly. 5 years imprisonment, millions in fines and restitution, and the dissolution of their foundation. As they were led away, my mother turned to look at me one last time. I met her gaze steadily, neither flinching nor gloating. This wasn't about hurting them. It was about honoring the scared 16-year-old girl who deserved better. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed with questions. What will you do now? One shouted above the others. I looked at the women flanking me, Teresa, Marlene, Maya, and Vivian, and smiled. I'm going to start a new foundation, I said. One that provides advocates for minors undergoing medical procedures without parental support. No child should wake up from surgery alone. Later, as we celebrated with dinner at Teresa's house, Maya raised her glass. To justice, finally served. And to found family, Teresa added. To truth, Vivian said firmly. To all of you, I replied, for being there when it mattered. Have you ever discovered a betrayal, years after it happened? How did you find closure? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about finding strength in unlikely places.